If you think that Jesus was removed because Judas was going to betray him, or was, if you think that Jesus was unmoved because Judas was going to betray him, you were wrong. He was troubled in spirit. The disciples were stupefied. You can imagine the shock wave that went over the room. Judas had been so clever that not a person there believed he was a traitor. Each one thought it might be the other, and each one thought it might be himself. Each disciple knew that he was capable of doing the same thing. I doubt that the little byplay between John and Peter was noticed by the others. There must have been confusion in the room. Peter was probably farther away from Jesus, and since Jesus was next to him, Peter aligned to John to ask. In verse 26, Jesus answered, "He it is to whom I shall give a sop. Then, when I have dipped it, and when he had dipped the sop, he gave it to Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon." It was the custom of the host at the banquet to give a piece of bread, dip it in the sauce, and present it to the guest of honor. The Lord makes Judas his guest of honor by this gesture. He is extending to him the token of friendship. Judas is at the crossroads. Christ keeps the door open to Judas up to the very last. Even in the garden, Jesus will say, "Friend, wherefore art thou come?" Matthew chapter 26 and verse 50. Still keeping the door open for Judas. Jesus knew that Judas would what Jesus knew what Judas would do, as any other was as any other has stated it. Foreknowledge is not causation. That is, although the Lord knew that Judas would do it, the Lord did not force him to do it. In fact, he offered his friendship to Judas to the very last. Verse 27. And after the sop, Satan entered into him. Then said Jesus unto him, "That what thou dost, do quickly." Satan took over this man Judas gradually. I don't think that Satan ever takes a man suddenly. There are many little falls that permit Satan to move in gradually. Then finally he takes over. The Lord gave Judas an opportunity to accept him, but Judas turns his back on the Lord. Then Satan moved in and took him over completely. Judas makes his own decision. God never sent a man to hell unless that man first of all sent himself there. You see, God ratifies human decision. God seconds the motion. That when a man says that he accepts Christ, God says, "I second it. I receive you." When a man says that he rejects Christ, as Judas did here, God says, "I second the motion." Now Jesus asked him to leave quickly. Having made his decision, he is not beyond the control of God. In fact, having made his decision, he is compelled to cooperate with God. You see, the religious rulers didn't want to arrest Jesus and crucify him while the crowds were there during the feast. They wanted to wait until the feast was over, but our Lord tells him to go now and do it quickly. So Judas must go out and tell the leaders that he has been found out, and they must move quickly.